Hello, my name is Kartik, and today I'm going to present the basic workings of lasers. So, we all know lasers, we've all heard of them, but let's go into more detail. A laser is a highly intense and focused beam of photons, packets of light. The key properties of laser waves are they're all the same frequency and wavelength, they all travel in the same direction, and all the light waves are perfectly in step or the same phase. Here on the diagram, we can see an incandescent bulb, which was used a long time back. All the waves, all the photons and light waves are different frequency, different wavelength, and different direction. However, in modern day lasers, as you can see, all the light waves travel in the same direction with the same wavelength and frequency. So, what does laser stand for? Laser stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Now that's quite a long name, so throughout this presentation, I'll try to explain what this means. So firstly, what is spontaneous emission of light? In an atom, electrons reside in discrete energy states. Electrons in a lower energy state or the ground state can be given energy through electricity, heat, or light to be excited to a higher energy state, as shown over here in the diagram. However, when the electron is excited, it leads to a highly unstable system as there's a spot missing at the ground state, which is its natural spot. Therefore, after a certain amount of time, the electron will return to its ground state or lower energy state. The energy it releases in this process is released in the form of a packet of light or photon. Spontaneously emitted light is better in quality compared to the incandescent lamps, but it's still non-directional and all the photons released will be of different frequencies, like an LED light. The energy difference between the ground state and higher energy state is proportionate to the energy of the photon or the frequency of the wave. So now we have to fix the problem of direction and wavelength. This is done through stimulated emission of light. If a light photon corresponding to the energy difference or E1 minus E0 already exists within the material, then when the electron returns to its ground state, this photon will stimulate the emission of another identical photon. This doesn't have to be like one goes in, two come out. It can be the number is variable. However, the photon now produced will be identical to the first one in frequency, direction, phase, and wavelength. So this is what is light amplification by stimulated emission. Light or this photon amplified or multiplied to the stimulated emission of the electron going back to its ground state. This forms the basis of laser light. So three processes are happening simultaneously. When electrons in matter are excited to a higher energy level, three processes can take place. One, an electron comes spontaneously back to its ground state and releases a photon through spontaneous emission. Secondly, a photon can stimulate the emission of another identical photon, which is stimulated emission. And lastly, there's spontaneous absorption. In this case, when the electron returns to its ground state, the photon released will be absorbed by another electron to excite it further. So how do we get over spontaneous absorption? Normally, the number of electrons in their ground state is more than the number in their excited state. This leads to more spontaneous absorption, which means if both of these electrons return to their ground state, two photons will be emitted. Now, there's a very high chance that those two photons will be absorbed by one of these five electrons to send them back up. Therefore, no light will be emitted and the net emission will just be absorption. Therefore, to achieve net emission of light, the number of electrons in the excited state must be more than in the ground state. This is achieved by pumping in um, energy through electricity, heat, or light to excite more electrons. This concept is known as population inversion. So now, how does our stimulated emission become into the thing we know as a laser? The
I
material
will
with
interrupt you. Sorry, I'll interrupt you, Kartik. Just to let you know, time is up. So just to let you know about that, and you can plan accordingly.
okay. Okay. So the material with the population inversion is placed between two mirrors. One of these is completely reflective, while the other one is partially reflective. The spontaneously emitted photons go everywhere, but some of them are going towards the mirrors. As they head towards the mirrors, through stimulated emission, more photons identical are created. Let's say the photons bounce off this mirror, which is completely reflective, then go towards the partially reflective mirror. Now, some of the lasers will be transmitted through to form the laser output. The rest will bounce back and keep producing more photons through stimulated emission. So, why lasers? The highly directional light beam can be focused to form intense bright spots, such as here where it destroys a tumor in one's eye. So, what are some other applications of lasers? Lasers can also be utilized for barcode scanning, sending the internet, and engineering through laser precise cutting, and sensors in driverless cars. Thank you for listening.